The Minecraft alpha situation is crazy. And for those who don't know, I'll give you a quick rundown. A few weeks ago, not that long ago, I built this passive mob farm, an alpha 112_01, and it runs very well. I get a lot of good drops. There's a very good frequency of passive mobs falling down here. But if you look closely, you might notice something about this. Even though lots of sheep are falling down here, I'm not getting any wool. And that's kind of the main reason I built this thing. I don't have a bunch of use for pork or leather. Leather can only make armor, and leather armor isn't very useful. Pork is great and all, but it doesn't stack, and it's pretty easy to find in the wild. Getting large amounts of wool is what I really need. And I'm not getting any drops. So after looking into it a little bit, I found out that the reason this happens is because wool is only dropped from sheep when attacked by a player. So that can either be with a snowball, with a sword, a bow, whatever. But since they're falling to their death from the top of this thing, they're not being attacked by a player. And because of that, they don't drop any wool, they just die. It's a little bit silly, I know, but that's why I'm having this issue, and it sucks because I would really like some wool to build with. That's why I made this thing. Anyway. Kind of a silly introduction, but I thought it was funny. I've been really racking my head though. I've been trying to figure out a way that I can get this to work. I would like to AFK this, or at least, sit around here for a little bit, get a consistent drop rate. And so that means I'm probably going to have to make some pretty heavy modifications to this thing. My first thought is that I set myself AFK down here, where I can hold my left click button, and then sheep will fall into my view. I'll punch the sheep, they'll flow backward into lava, and then the drops will flow to me, or something like that. I feel like that's certainly possible. It does make me kind of wish the layout of this place was a tad different. Perhaps I should move this staircase over just a little bit so I have more room to work with. That wouldn't be too hard to do. Stairs are a pain to mine in alpha, not just because they're so slow, but because when you try to aim for them, sometimes your crosshair will go straight through them. It'll go to the block underneath or below or to the side. So that's why when I place these, I make sure that I know exactly where I want them, but... See? Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. Yep. Now, facing these from certain directions, kind of moving yourself around will help. I would like, I think one day, to make a video just dedicated to stairs in this version, and exploring why they're so buggy, and the quirks, and how to manipulate them, that kind of thing. I've done a little bit of thinking about it. I think I make an interesting subject to talk about. There's another thing that I really wanted to work on in this place, and that was the structure down here, the interior, right? There's not a lot going on here, but also the rail station. So I added this temporary rail here that should take me back to the center of the world base. And from there, I can go wherever I need to. But it's temporary. I want to have a nicer looking one for sure. I think it'd be cool if I could decorate this a little bit, make it look like it's got pillars. There's only half a rail here, so if I were to come visit, it would only take me about as far as the shoreline. And this is in the way. I don't want this to be here, so kind of a lot of work has to be done around this spot. I have to remove this already because I need to make room for the stairs I'm going to put here. Working with pork can be pretty annoying though. It really does clog up the inventory. Might as well make some armor since I'm getting so much free leather, and really there's nothing else you can do with it. And chestplate. There we go. Ta-da! Fancy threads. Look at that. Yeah, look at this. See, the stairs are so busted. Having some blocks behind it really do help it point the way that you want it to, but sometimes you don't want to have blocks behind it, or you want to have blocks to the side of it, and that can screw things up. Look at that. So if I just place this there by itself, it has a block behind it, so the fat side of the stair is going to snap to that block. Same over here, but if I put one here, it kind of equalizes. The stair now has a block to the right and to the left of it, and it's got another stair block or a block below it, so that all plays into what direction it thinks it's supposed to face. Dang it. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. So you may know that if you place any kind of block, as long as it's like a slab or whatever, placing a block over a stair will turn it back into its full block state. And that is a little bit of a constraint. But also, how I mentioned earlier, when you go to place stairs and things like that, you can sometimes aim your crosshair through the stair like I'm doing now. I'm actually looking at the block behind it, and I can tell because this bounding box disappears. But hard to tell when you're in the moment. So a moment ago, I basically looked through this stair block here. I placed the block on top of it instead of the back of it, which, again, I don't fully understand myself. There we go. Moved over to the right. This should give us a little bit more room, I hope. Alright, I made some slight modifications to the drop area. Hopefully this is a good place to start. And while I was doing that, I was steeping some tea. I made some, what was it, Kinpin Keelan? Or something like that. I got it from this interesting old tea store. It was in a basement. Some kind of oolong tea. I steeped it. I didn't use a ton of water, maybe 8 ounces. Or about 4 minutes. Put a little honey, because I always like adding honey. And you're going to get a live reaction to this, because I don't really know what this is supposed to be like. That's pleasant. You know, it's mostly floral, but it's pretty simple. Yeah, that's good. Next time I make it, though, I need to have twice as many tea leaves, I think. Because it's extremely light. But still, it's nice for, you know, a summer afternoon. Anyway, let me kind of illustrate what I'm planning to do here. So, I'm thinking, if I add some water down here like this, then when I AFK, I will be, you know, about right here. Animals that fall into this water pit should still pretty much die. Let me wait for one to come down here. Yeah. Big cow. They'll pretty much die, but sometimes the water actually does help break their fall, so they don't always die. I'm explaining that for a reason, and I'll kind of tackle that a little bit later, but I think if I do this, and I raise this up... Oh wait, that's in the wrong spot, isn't it? Yeah, I need to be here. Yeah, okay, backed it up some. Lower this one. All the animals are falling right there. Let me lower it even one more time. Oh, yeah, see, this guy lived. If I add some more surrounding blocks, let's do this. Oh shoot. Oh yeah, can't place slabs like that. Gotta do it like this. Okay. Gonna add some signs right there, right there. I guess I should break open this back. I don't have a great way of very quickly killing off some animals here. This should work for just a demonstration. Get out of here. Get. Go. Water here, water there. Now we just wait for a sheep to spawn. Actually need a little bit more in there. Yeah, so the water they fall into will not be flowing. If I hit them... Yeah, I hit them and then they kind of went back here. Of course, it's not nearly as consistent as I like. Wait for some more sheep to come down. Oh, that's a cow. That's fine. A cow coming down here. If I hit the cow, it should bounce up. It seems like they always bounce up. The only thing that doesn't are the pigs. They come down here, they fall through this little slot. But yeah, the cows bounce up, and then they flow to the back here. Sheep bounces up, the drops flow back to me. Yeah, see, it's kind of just a mess, but I think if I handle this correctly, then I can get this to be 100% efficient. Okay, I have drafted a new system, and while I was doing that, I put some wool up here to stop animals from falling in and annoying me. But they're so loud. They're so noisy. Yeah, okay. Oh, that didn't really work. Alright, get out of here. Okay, so the first idea here is that I put some water there, and it just pushes these animals into this pit. Now this pit is just this 2x2 pit. Any animal can stand in it that's going to come down here. Chickens are caught by the chicken catcher up there, so I'm not really concerned about them. And the bottom of this pit, if I stand here, I should be able to collect drops. The other thing I have to do is I'm going to put a sign here. And I'm going to put some water right there. Oh, okay. I was going to put water here, but they like to jump a lot, don't they? Since they're on the slab. That's not good. Well, let's try it anyways. I'm going to put this water here, and that water should flow back into this pit, basically. And now I'm stuck here. So cows are taller than sheep. I think, I can't remember if they're the same height as sheep or not, but cows, when they fall in down this pit, they kind of jump, and then they flow away. But I would hope that at least sheep get stuck here. Okay, here it comes. Oh! No! Alright, come on, get in there. It falls. And then it just bounces right out. Okay. Right, I'm going to lower that by one more block. Hopefully that does what I need it to do. Okay, yeah. Now the animals are falling a block lower. Add this water back in. Okay. Sheep fall. No, come on. Okay, cool. All the animals are bouncing. They're having a great time down there. And then when I hit them, they should bounce up and bounce out. Yeah, that doesn't really seem to work very well, does it? I'm gonna have to rethink this a little bit. After doing a very small amount of excavating, I realized that I think for what I need to do, this area needs to be a lot larger. As in, I need a lot more space to work with. It's very difficult because all the water, all the ice, etc. And I just need, I think, to excavate this area a lot more. Give myself a lot of room to work. So that's kind of be a pain, but we're gonna try it. It means also getting rid of the water layer underneath here, which might be a little bit difficult to do. I suppose while I'm doing this, I'll talk a little bit about what I was up to this last week. I had a mini vacation with my girlfriend. She had some time off because she gets like 2 weeks off of her job a year, so we had that week off, and we went to Maine because it's close to where we are now. And I really, really wanted to save as much money as possible. So I decided let's go to lots of state parks, let's go to national parks, things like that. Things that won't cost a whole lot. So that's what we did. We went to Baxter State Park, which is about in the middle of Maine. We went to Acadia National Park, which is around the southern coast of Maine. And then we decided, let's visit Portland. It's the biggest city or something like that. So Maine is a beautiful state. If any of you are unfamiliar with the state or even unfamiliar with the country, it's a lot of wilderness, lots of rolling green hills. There's tons of islands and rocky shorelines along the Atlantic. It's a neat place to go. It's very different from what I'm used to. I'm from Michigan. While we have the Great Lakes, they're not ocean water. I might prefer the Great Lakes a little bit just because of that, because they're more accessible. But Michigan's mostly flat in the south, but that doesn't really matter. Regardless, it was a great trip. I took some photos. My favorite was probably Baxter State Park. Even though it's smaller and there's not a lot of people, it's probably exactly why I enjoyed it, and she did too. It's because we climbed one of the mountains there, not the main one, but we just climbed one of the side ones. There was points where it's not so much as walking horizontally as it is actual just vertical mountain climbing, which we didn't expect. And I'm not an experienced hiker or anything, but when we got to the top after like 4 hours of hiking, it was an amazing view. You could see very, very far away. And the best part was, there was no one there. We had that entire mountain to ourselves. Of course, it was also because we started kind of late, right? Which I wouldn't recommend doing, because we had to hike back in the dark. But I'm just saying that when we went to Acadia National Park, it was full of people. Everything was so expensive. They kept trying to sell you stuff. Same with Portland. Portland was literally just a consumption city. And it was cool to walk around. Like, the architecture was neat. The wharfs were neat. But I mean, what's to do in Portland? You can see some historic sites, but the main thing to do in Portland is to buy things. And I don't like buying things. I like to save my money, especially now. And towards the end of the Portland visit, I was like, we should at least try to eat, something local, like try what they're serving around here. So I went to a restaurant on the pier, and I got a lobster roll because I hadn't had a lobster roll yet. That's kind of what's going on in Maine, right? They got a lot of seafood stuff. I love seafood. I was eating this lobster roll. All I could think about while I was eating this thing is that how not worth it was. Because it was pricey, it was market price, which means we can just charge you whatever we want. Like, I feel so much more satisfied in a meal when I know that I've saved as much money as possible in the pursuit of it. Not too long ago, I made some poke bowls, whatever. All I did was get cheap rice. I got a big bag of dried chickpeas, just random vegetables, chopped them up and grilled some cheap chicken up with some spices. And then, like, a bowl a piece cost $1 once I calculated it out. I felt so much better eating that than eating this expensive lobster roll that was the price of like 40 of those poke bowls. As I was sitting there thinking about it, I was just thinking about, the whole city. We spend money here. People come here and they buy overpriced goods, overpriced food. I just wanted to get out of there, and so does she. We rushed out. We literally ran out of there after paying the bill, of course. I got in the car and we drove an hour and a half to a very rural lighthouse on a peninsula to watch the sunset. And that was so much better than going to Portland and going through the streets and the shops and all that stuff. And not only that, but it was free. It cost us nothing but the price of gas to get there. All it is to say, I'm just kind of tired of that way of living. It doesn't really make me feel happy of just like consuming stuff, or whether it's buying things, spending money, or like collecting things. I don't know, that's never was for me. One of my biggest hobbies is playing old Minecraft and tea, and playing old Minecraft is like, it's a very limited version of the game, so I suppose that makes sense. But also, it was a one-time purchase I made back in like 2012 or something like that. I've never really had to spend money doing it again, which is great. Bedrock Edition, there's a marketplace and there's like DLCs or whatever they call them, add-ons that you have to pay for, but on PC and especially old Minecraft, that stuff is all community driven, it's all free. And the thing with tea, since I also bring that up, it's just a relatively very inexpensive hobby, right? It doesn't cost that much. Even if you spend, I don't know, $20 on a box of loose leaf tea, right? That can seem kind of steep. That wasn't a pun or anything, but it seems pricey. However, that $20 worth of tea will probably make you 30 cups of tea, right? So it comes out to less than $1 a cup. It's a little bit more expensive, but it is very close to the price of like Coca-Cola or something. Another thing I really like is just nature. I love taking walks in the woods, that kind of stuff. I don't like to be near the city or places like that. It's just too much for me. It's probably partly because of how I was raised. You know, I kind of grew up in a rural community. I think the moral of everything I'm trying to say here, I've learned, at least for myself, that simplicity is best. Not just in whatever version of Minecraft I choose to play, or, you know, the tea that I choose to drink. Life in general, for me, I think simplicity is the way that I'd rather live. I don't know if anybody feels the same. If you do, leave a comment, or, you know, if you want to expand on that at all or something like that. I don't know if it made any sense. It's kind of hard for me to focus and play the game. It's not easy for me to talk about this and gather my thoughts while also trying to mine. So I think I'm going to focus on this for a little bit, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, we got a little bit of a basement and a complete mess as well. I started working on a system to sort pigs from sheep and cows. So essentially, the mobs fall down here, the chickens are caught in that water stream up there, and then the mobs flow down this way. Now, if you're big, like a cow, you should, if you stop resisting the water streams, eventually make your way down this thin tunnel into this pit. Like that. They'll be taken wherever they need to go. But if you're small, like a pig, you'll notice there's this entire sidebar of water flowing down, but also out. It's stopped by these signs here. So if a pig falls down here, and I'm probably gonna have to wait for that to happen. Okay, look, a pig. And look, it got pushed out. That's the basic premise. I'm going to put a stream of lava here so that all the pigs that fall into this chamber get killed. Most of the animals that fall down here are dying, and that's because, well, it's one block deep of water. If there was another water stream right here or right there, that would kind of reset their fall damage, and that's really what I would like. My only problem is that there's a 5-block slit here for the pigs to flow out, but there is still a chance that the pigs will resist the water stream and flow down into here. That's why I want this to be as long as possible. So I'm probably going to have to extend it a fair amount, which means more signs. So far it seems so good, but look at him, he's trying to escape. Yeah, he fell in, but only right at the last moment. Yeah, okay, that's about as long as it can actually go. Then we just expand this. Okay, I think that's better. So that flows all the way down, and the pigs should have about 7 blocks of space to die, essentially. I guess the next question is, oh, it's like I didn't drain enough water. That's unfortunate. I'll fill this up with as much cobblestone as I can muster. Oh, am I stuck? Phew. So now that means all of our big mobs, sheep and cows, are falling down here, and our pigs are all being sorted into this chamber. What a mess this is. Oh yeah, the next phase of the plan is gonna be to put these animals in the spot that I want, essentially. Dang, look at that. Got a lot of mess going on here. Maybe I should put in the lava right now. I don't have any nearby, but what I am gonna do is I'm just gonna borrow some from the roof of this structure that I use for the lighting. Hopefully that's okay. How did this guy escape? How did he get down here? Oh no. Oh no, did he make it to the end? That's not a good sign. I'm gonna put this here. Okay, so now all pigs should die, and no pigs should be making it out. But I think one did make it out. Here's what I think I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna make another sorting system for pigs. Another stream that brings them back this direction, and gives it some extra chances to kill any pigs should they make it past the first bit. Okay, now I think I'm pretty much close to done with this mechanism. So I've got this channel here, which has only changed slightly. Down here I have a second one, and it dumps the animals right here. So I'll AFK in this spot, and I'll punch the animals. Punching them should make them fall in that pit back there, which I need to fill with some lava. I don't have any left. Not only do I not have any left, but I've stolen my 2 lava sources from the roof just to fill the pig sorter. So that means I need to make a lava run real quickly. No big deal. I should be able to get some pretty easily. Just hope I have enough buckets. At the rate this is taking, I'm starting to realize that decorating that thing might be out of my scope, at least for the foreseeable future. But we'll see what happens. Down here, there should be some pretty easy access to some lava. And I have another bucket. That's good. Might as well make a few more so I don't waste my trips. Alright, here we go. Across this mining hall, there's some lava pools. Simple enough. I want to talk about a future project idea I had for this world. I was thinking about this when I was driving a lot over the last week, just to have something to think about when I'm on the road. And I think it'd be really cool to have like a slot machine, a gambling slot machine in this world somewhere, because it'd be really hard to accomplish that with such a limited redstone. And I've been thinking of ways to work around all the necessary components. Still working on it in my head. I think it'd be cool to have slots represented by redstone torches, and instead of when you win the jackpot you get an item that actually opens up an iron door that leads to a pile of diamonds or something like that. I think that would be pretty cool. I can make it grandiose, so we use minecarts to spin the slots, the so-called slots. There are no pistons into beta 1.7, which makes so much of a difference when you don't have them as far as designing redstone things go. Very limited. Also no dispensers, so I can't give items away. There we go. We just wait for mobs to come down here, and this should work fine. Now, there's going to be some drop loss, which is a shame, because I'm going to be hitting animals right here, and there's a chance that some of those drops could fall in the lava. I don't really know what to do about all that, unfortunately. Perhaps there's better solutions to this problem somewhere. But this is all I could think of doing. I also put a sign at the end here. Not that I needed it. I kind of wonder if it makes the animals think that there's a block there so they don't try to run away from an edge. I'm not totally sure. Alright, here we go. Alright, simple enough. I think that once I fully block off this whole thing, they'll stop being difficult to work with. They'll stop trying to resist the water streams. You know, that's not something you can do in Modern. Or it's just not something that happens. The animals will always go along with the water flow. Hostile mobs too, as far as I understand. But yeah, that's the mechanism. It works really simply. Now there's another part to this whole thing that I have to accomplish. Actually, there's a few parts. So, most of the mobs that fall down here die. Like that. A way to counteract that is to have another layer of water here that resets their death. However, I thought it would be really cool if I could toggle this mob farm between the mode where I need to shear sheeps and the mode where I just want them all to die right here. I would do that by removing the water, but again, pistons don't exist. So this is going to be like a water bucket switch kind of thing. So essentially, when I remove those, this is just going to kill everything that falls down here. I want it to be so, I think up here, I can place water somewhere and it'll flow down, and that will create a water stream that pushes all the animals out to here. And that'll also create a water stream up here, which will break their fall. Yeah, so let's try that out. I'm not totally sure how this is going to pan out, or even how to do this. I'm doing a lot of interior redecorating just to make this whole thing work. Okay, so sign there. Sign there. I'd like to be able to place the water right in this little spot. I'll denote it with a wool block. So I'll have a sign saying, like, place water against the wool. The trick is getting it to flow down there and also over here. So remove these. That'll split the water streams left and right. I don't think that's high enough. Yeah, that needs to come out right there. That's not high enough, not nearly. Okay, I place the water there. It flows down onto this. I'm gonna have to remove this again. That flows out onto here. Then this one will flow out through here. This is such a mess. Look at this. Gosh. Okay, and then that flows down here and then out. But I don't know if that'll be long enough, so might have to change that up just a tad bit. There we go. Alright, so placing a single water source should toggle this between kill everything mode to collect wool mode. Alright, let's try it. Water goes there. It flows out, back and down. Okay. Oh no. Needs to be a little bit further, but that's there, which means it'll break. All the animals fall. Here, I'm just gonna do this just to extend it out some. And now it's fully extended. And look at that. They're all living too. And then as I sit here, I'm just gonna hold my left click button. All the mobs are just slowly pushed back into the lava until I get a sheep. Alright, here's a sheep. Oh no, it didn't work. He got bumped back there by the cow. Hold on. Alright, here we go. Oh, we got one wool. So far, not the most efficient thing ever. But at least no pigs are getting out, because they could be a problem. But yeah, that's basically how that works. And then removing it should stop this entire thing. And now everything will die. I suppose it's functional now, which means all I gotta do is make this look a lot nicer than it currently does. Okay, let's do some decorating and some chatting. So, there was this one time that I think I heard Bigfoot in the woods. And quite the segue, but oh shoot. I hate wasting glass. Anyways, it was deer hunting season. Everybody was out in the woods, right? And my family, they have their own part of the woods, right, that I would hunt on during this time. And during this particular hunting season, I was up in a tree stand. I think I'd like to remove these and replace them with some slabs. I think that would look good. What a mess this has become. So I was out hunting. It was the end of the day towards sunset. I have my compound bow because I don't really use guns when I go hunting. I'm pretty far from any other person. I'm in my family's personal property, which is bordered by a river. So that means it's kind of cut off for everybody else unless they feel like taking a dip in September. And I can't imagine most people find that appealing. Look at that, it looks better, right? Oh, if only I had some pork. Anyway, I'm up in the stand, I'm watching for deer, and at this point, it may not have been September, may have been later, but it was just at a point where where leaves were all on the ground. It was past fall, all the dead leaves were everywhere. And this is important. That's because since there were dead leaves everywhere, anytime there was any kind of animal at all, you could hear them. I mean, they were very noisy. Every little squirrel, every raccoon, you know, deer, anything, you can hear them. People think that like deer will be kind of hard to approach and sneaky, but out in the country, especially where there's a lot of farm fields and there's free food, so they don't have to, you know, they don't have to be smart. They're not terribly observant. They won't even look up, and they're kind of noisy when the world is quiet. So when I'm up in this thing, anytime any animal decides to come around, I'm aware of it. I can hear them for a little while away too. I'll have a look at this now that we have glass and stuff here. Should be able to see whenever an animal comes down. Now the other question is, where do I put another staircase? Suppose I should put it right here, right? So I would cover this up, start breaking this wall open, and then just have it go down, I guess. Alright, as far as the story goes, there's another thing I want to keep you in mind, and that's that I've heard all kinds of stuff. I know what, I've done this for a while, been out there for a lot of my life. I know what certain things sound like. When a twig breaks, you know, whatever, when leaves are stepped on, when there's somebody working or using some heavy equipment off in the distance, I know what it sounds like. So it was pretty odd when I heard some knocking noises. And they weren't just like any kind of knocking. It wasn't like knocking at a door, like, you know, not like that. This was very heavy noise, a very heavy knock noise being made. It sounded like someone had a 2x4 or a plank of wood or whatever and was just hitting it against a tree. If you've ever gone up to a tree and like knocked out with your fist, it would not make much noise. It would also probably hurt if you tried to make it louder. So this sounded seriously like a plank of wood being pounded against another wood. And it was repetitive. It was like knock, 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 knock. Knock, 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 stuff like that. It was repetitive. There was a small group of knocks, and then there were a few seconds of space between it. This was coming off in the direction of the woods area, because I hunt on the edge of a pretty large clearing. There used to be a farm field. And it sounded like it was coming right from the woods, probably 100 yards away from me, or more, but about the center of the woods, which my parents also owned, by the way. So again, no one would have been out there because they would have had to cross a river to get there. Or they would have had to have walked by me, like hours before, sat out there and waited for hours until they decided to make that noise somehow and then leave. And this was as the sun was setting, so my time to be out there was almost over by law. I'm really liking how this is turning out so far. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling about this story, but essentially, I heard some noises in the woods that didn't seem like they could really have been made by a person. It would take a very strong person at the very least. Went on for a little bit, then it stopped. Didn't know what it was. Still don't know what it was. I called it a Bigfoot story, but I was mostly just being facetious. I don't really believe in any of that stuff, but it is kind of fun. You know, to think about. Maybe that's the same reason some people like astrology. I don't know. I call it a Bigfoot story because I don't know what it was, but I mean, just because I didn't know what it was doesn't mean it's Bigfoot. Well, it's fun to pretend, though. I try to think of explanations on what that could have been, and I still can't really come up with anything. Oh yeah, look at this. This stairwell comes out perfectly in the center of this door, which goes to the maintenance area. For the Eats Road. I love connecting rooms. I mean, they don't really need to be connected. That's the sheep shearing section. That doesn't really need to be connected to that, but it's cool that it is. You know, it'd be neat if I lifted this up on the slabs. There we go. Down here, I've got it like this, so you can stand pretty close to the sheep and punch them, and then when you want to get out, you have to use the ladder. And that's because escaping water can be kind of tricky in alpha, especially flowing water. I can't flow out of this. I'm trying right now. I can't. If I come up here, yeah, can't do it. I'm pretty much just trapped here. So the ladder is necessary. There we go. Funny how that works, huh? Well, anyway, why don't I slab it up down here too? I'd like this place to basically be AFK-able, and it isn't, so that needs to change. Oh man, look at this. I'm gonna have to replace that right there with slab block, which means I gotta remove this entire column. That's a shame. Oh well, let's add some trim around this side here. While what I'm doing might seem difficult, the materials might be kind of hard to work with, or, you know, I'm limited in my choices of design, I wouldn't trade it. I actually, I really like it. I like that I could just go in here, I'm designing a hallway, and I don't have to think overhead, oh no, does this fit with the theme of the build? Oh, should I have used upside down acacia stairs or upside down red sandstone stairs? I don't have to think about any of that stuff. Like, huh, this looks good. I'll build this. Or, oh, I could put some trim here. I'll put some blocks here. Oh, that looks nice. I didn't even have to think about it that hard. I don't know. Very relaxing in that sense. This is especially messy because I just built a bunch of rooms next to each other and threw blocks everywhere. I wonder how it looks from the outside. Yeah, a little bit messy. Not so bad from this side. Over here, though. Oh my goodness. Again, I wouldn't trade it. It's fun. It's fun to explore. Pop, 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 pop. You may have noticed this stairway is only 2 blocks wide and this one's only 3 blocks wide. Oh no, it's not symmetrical. It's fine. I built it this way on purpose. I like how it gets smaller, you know? And it's unique. I don't care about none of that. I'm not gonna bother with that kind of stuff. I think it looks cool. So I'm keeping it. Fortunately, I have to redo this pillar as well because I want a slab block right there. All right, yeah, here we go. Stairs go down. It's a little bit weird and messy. And then we get down here. I'm just going to cover this entire section up. I think it'd be cool this back wall is made of slabs too. There we go. Ta-da. Perfect. This stairway is all done. Oh my gosh. Shouldn't have gone in there. Up here, all I gotta do, water stream. And suddenly it's converted. And not only that, it gets rid of all these items. There they go. Oh, look at that. There they go. And I have a perfect viewing platform for this. Oh no, I forgot a block over there. Oop. I need to replace all these as well. Like, it should just be covered, you know? Alright, there we go. Bye. And I'm going to cover that up just in case. Alright, let's go see what's going on downstairs. Get out of here. Oh, it's not totally efficient. You know what would be helpful? It'd be helpful if I could look straight up and see if any mobs have come down here. Okay, this is satisfying. You know something weird? When I was a kid, actually, probably still a little bit, but when I was younger, my favorite thing to do in games was to hit people off of stuff and like make them fall. I don't know why. Sometimes I go on Pocket Edition and I would make a floating island, like really high in creative mode, and then I put an animal spawner up there, or a zombie spawner, and I just hit them off. And just watch them fall. Or if I played games with my friends, we'd play games where I'd knock people off with stuff. It's just satisfying. I don't know what it is. When Bed Wars was first getting popular, I was terrible at melee. Still am. I would only ever use the bow. Whenever they'd come by in their bridge, I just like to do a well-timed shot, knock them into the void. And that really annoyed people. And I don't play Bed Wars that much anymore. Actually, I don't play it like ever, because I'm terrible at it. Look at that. As long as I hit the animals within a reasonable amount of time, it seems like I catch all the drops. That's pretty cool. Well, let's shut this thing off. That's satisfying too. So yeah, it would be cool to have a glass ceiling. Can we make it happen? Oh no, it doesn't go quite far enough. It's almost perfectly underneath, but not quite. Oh well, it'll be a half glass ceiling. So now a little bit strange looking here, but also it's got some character. And if I go turn this thing back on, I can look straight up. And look at that. There's some pigs coming down. There's a cow. Kind of hard to see, but not bad. It seems to be working a lot more efficient now that it's all closed up too. It's like the animals don't try to escape as much, which is nice. Suppose one of the other things I really wanted to do was to fix up this railway system here. I'm sure I've got enough blocks to do it. All right, I'm going to boost this back up some. I think what would be most convenient is if you arrive basically right here and you exit the same way. So we're going to make the minecart booster right here. It goes down some. Like this, and then up some. Like that. And there's a booster that's going to be to the left of it because you have to be able to enter in from that side. And this bridge needs to be finished. And then on this side, we're going to have the booster, so it'll just look really, really simple. Hardly anything to it. So I get in, or I push it, I get in, there we go. Very easy. Now from this side I can continue the railway. Well, hello citizens. Be gone. Another thing I got when I was in Maine with my girlfriend is some blueberry pancake mix. Because blueberries are Maine's thing, I suppose. It's their main thing. Blueberries are Maine's main thing. Anyway, I had some this morning with her. It was really good. I'll be honest, I kind of grew up on pancakes. It's kind of a silly thing to say because it's such a basic food for Western people. But like my family, we always made them, especially because we make our own maple syrup, which is maybe not, it's not as common in Michigan as it is in Canada, but we always made our own. And let me tell you, the maple syrup never tastes as good as it does when it comes right out of the evaporator. Sometimes I make like French toast and I go all the way over to the evaporator, to the sugar shack, and I just pour it right out of there onto it. It was so good. I would drink that stuff, I'm being honest with you. I don't even care for sugar that much in general, but I would drink that stuff when it's fresh. Oh yeah, there was this one time we were having one of our first pull-offs or draw-offs, and that's when you gotta drain some of the sap off that's not totally ready yet, isn't fully distilled, I suppose you could say, or evaporated. It was about at the stage where it's pretty sweet, but it's not yet maple syrup. I got a big mug and I fill it full of tea leaves. And then I took the tea leaf mug all the way over to the sugar shack and I filled it with the boiling hot sweet water that was in the evaporator. And that was actually, I made that with a little bit of a milk oolong. Not stone milk oolong, just milk oolong. That was, well, it was interesting. Can't say that it was like amazing, but it was just the experience that made it special, I suppose. Anyway, back to the part about pancakes. What I was going to mention is that I grew up on them and I ate them a lot because we made our own syrup, but also I'm very particular about that, how a pancake is made and what goes into it. A lot of people like to put chocolate in their pancakes, or anyway, like peanut butter or Nutella or whatever. I don't like anything in the pancake. The only thing I'll accept is blueberries. That is the one thing I like that I think actually adds to the flavor. I mean, I'll eat chocolate in the pancakes, chocolate chips, whatever, but I just don't care for it. That's the one thing I like in there. And then fresh maple syrup, not fake syrup. And if you top it off with some good tea, which I also got from Maine. There was a tea store. They made their own Maine teas at Bar Harbor. Kind of just ransacked the place, took a few samplers. It makes it sound like I didn't pay for it. I did. But I got a bunch of different kinds. They had cranberry black tea. They had maple black tea. They had a breakfast blend that they made their own selves. They had one other kind. Gosh, I can't remember what it was. Cranberry, maple, breakfast. What was the fourth one? Oh, blueberry tea. Of course, blueberry tea. Anyway, they're all different kinds of black teas, which I like. I don't really care for like fruit tea on its own. And then on the side, I bought some Christmas tea because my girlfriend loves Christmas and tea, and some spearmint tea. I've always heard of mint tea, but never heard of spearmint, so I got some of that. Regardless, for breakfast, I had some of that black maple tea. I put a little touch of cream in there and some honey. That was very, very good. Very, very wonderful tea. Sometimes the best tea is simple. You don't gotta go all the way to some basement in Quebec City just to get something nice, you know? Although, those are good, but sometimes simple is best. That's why I don't judge, you know? Whatever you want to put in your cup, I don't care. As long as it's good, it's good. Like, I go to the grocery store, I pick up the most basic lemon ginger tea I could find, and it's delicious. As long as you do it right, it's great. I'm kind of curious, though, about the pancake thing. What do you guys like in your pancakes? Or are you as strict about it as I am? I don't know. I'm very kind of a breakfast fanatic. It might be my favorite meal. I don't know why I am that way. Again, maybe it's because of the whole growing up with pancakes thing. But I love breakfast, always have. I'm curious if anyone else feels the same. If I miss breakfast, it throws off my whole day. At least I feel like it does. It might be placebo at that point, or nocebo. I don't know. But it's very important to me. All right, I'm going to finish this up really quickly off camera. Okay, a little decoration update. I would just kind of shut off the recording and let my mind go wild a little bit, and that makes it sound more interesting than it is. But I just been mindlessly decorating this place. It's fun. I enjoy it. I decided, hey, I should use some wool since, you know, that's kind of the purpose of this place. I should make use of wool in some capacity. So that's what I'm doing. I don't know if I have enough yet to really significantly make use of it. The title of the video, the thumbnail, it's just supposed to be a joke. I think you can kind of understand perhaps where I got the idea for that. So many videos are just called It's Over. Have you noticed? Or they got that in the thumbnail, and then in the title it's the XYZ situation is crazy. Why do we do this? You know something? I read something a journalist said recently. This journalist said that basically all the studies show that people are just more likely to react when faced with something that makes them angry. Whereas if something makes them sad, they're more likely to avoid it. And that sounds like pretty well and obvious to us. I like this roof, by the way. Very nice. But yeah, that sounds pretty obvious to us. Sounds like that lines up pretty well with what we know and understand. But even if we understand this, we still fall victim to that, right? So it's not just like articles or journalism or, you know, movies maybe. It's YouTube videos as well. So the whole it's over, the X situation is crazy. That whole thing. It relies on it being like very recognizable. Plus it's just, we have to make this subject sound as absurd or scary or angry as possible because that's what gets people to pay attention to it. And there's almost no point in me saying this because you all already know that. I feel like we know this, but we don't have awareness of it. You know, because I'll still find myself, like if I see a YouTube comment I disagree with, I might gravitate towards the reply button. I do that, and then I usually, most of the time, stop myself before I send anything. And I've been trying to do that because I realize that it's pretty much all pointless to do. But it's something I still need to work on, of course. Ta-da! Here we have our little chamber. I like this. Down here, you can get into the maintenance room. There's some some blocks missing. And down here, we have our little AFK area with a view to the top. Then up here, I finished this little tunnel. It's not super glamorous, and it gets too short here for my liking, but there it is. And whenever I finish the rest of this structure, I'll hopefully integrate it. I have plans. I have ideas for what I would like the rest of the space to look like. I think it'd be pretty cool. I'd like to have underneath this mob farm to be some windows and maybe like a building, like an office building. And then a staircase that you're supposed to get to it that's external instead of internal. So maybe right here I have some stairs wrapped around that go up. I think that'd be neat. Then inside, probably need to bust open a hole right here and make a hallway with rooms for chests and rooms for furnaces, because these are just sitting up here and taking up space. Ultimately, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, though. I hope you enjoyed my rambling or the aesthetics or, you know, whatever. In any case, I think I'm going to call it. And thank you so much to my members. You put food on my table. I would ask you to consider subscribing because it does actually make a difference. It does actually help the channel. And thank you if you have. Yeah, if you're interested in helping keep the channel sponsor-free, which is my promise to y'all is that I'll never do a sponsorship, you could join the membership. That also gives you access to unedited versions of these videos, so they're just longer. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comments or something. I've been Monkster, and have a nice night.